How big a gamble will voters take on February 5th? If passed, Proposition 94 through 97 will allow 4 Indian casinos in Southern California to add 17,000 new slot machines. Supporters, including the governor, say the increase will bring in new tax revenues to help alleviate the state budget deficit. Critics fear the ballot measures will open the door to Las Vegas-style size casinos throughout the state. So, John Wildermuth, what does this vote mean for the future of Northern California?
For Northern California right now, it doesn't mean anything. These casinos are in Southern California. There's 2 in San Diego County and 2 in Riverside County. And the measures on the ballot, 94, 95, 96, and 97, specifically deal with those 4 casinos. However, it's adding a lot of slot machines. It's really increasing the size of those casinos and essentially maybe setting up a template for future increases elsewhere in the state.
The governor favors this because he said it's going to help with the state's budget deficit. Can you explain how?
Well, the first thing is that Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was elected in 2003, one of the things he ran on was we have to make the Indians pay their fair share. He said that they weren't paying enough, and we have to figure out a way that they can pay more of their money into the state. Problem was, there were already agreements limiting how much they had to pay. So he said, we want you to pay more, and the Indians said, sure, we'll pay more, but you have to give us something. You have to give us these casinos. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to provide more money to the state general fund. It will guarantee the state is going to receive about $130 million a year. Plus, it's also going to allow the state to get between 15 and 25% of the net revenues from these new slot machines. Estimates, depending on who you talk to, could be as much when they're all in and all working as $500,000 a year. $500 million a year, excuse me.
Can you give us a sense of what the scale of these casinos that are proposed? Is this a Bellagio? Is this 15 football fields of casinos?
They're huge. The thing to remember, though, is that of all 4 of these casinos, only one, which is the Agua Caliente tribe around Palm Springs, will be building a new casino. They have 2 on their land now. They'll build a 3rd that will still be on Indian land around there. The others, right now they have a maximum of 2,000 slot machines. They'll be able to add up to 7,500, 2 of the tribes, and 5,000 for the other tribes. They're going to add those to existing casinos. There's just going to be, maybe a bigger footprint, maybe an addition, but they're going to be in the same spot. It's not going to expand it anywhere. And as they argue, we're not taking it into the cities. We're not going to move it to downtown Oakland. It's still going to be on Indian land.
A lot of people are confused by all the complexities involving Indian gambling and numbers of slot machines and the deals. And I think basically the big news in state government in the last couple of weeks is that we have a $14 billion deficit. And here the folks who are supporting this expansion of slot machines in Indian casinos are saying, hey, it's going to give us at least $130 million a year more in the general fund. Well, that's 10 times the amount of money that the state would save by closing its 48 state parks like the governor's proposed. So when it comes down to it, are the voters going to say, well, I don't really like slot machines, but I'd rather not close my kids' school or close state parks, and this is something we'll be willing to do? Or are they so confused that the things are going to fail anyway?
Well, probably the best thing Arnold Schwarzenegger did for the Indian gaming propositions is to say, hey, we're $14.5 billion in the hole. And now the opponents argue, well, drop in the bucket, even $500 million, it's not enough. But the argument is it's something. It's money that can now go to the general fund and can be used for anything.
Talk about the scope. How big is this business?
It's a big business. It's a big business and getting bigger. The estimates are hard to come out because the Indian tribes, as sovereign nations, don't have to put out a lot of information on it. But the best estimates is that Indian gaming is bringing in about $7.7 billion a year. Now, some of that obviously is being paid right back for a variety of things, but it's a big business, and again, it's getting bigger.
What kind of impact do these casinos have on the communities where they're located?
It depends. For better or for worse, many of these Indian casinos aren't located near much of anybody. Some of the money one of the requirements that they do is they have to put up money for roads. In many cases, they've provided things like fire trucks and infrastructure improvements for surrounding communities that are going to have to deal with stuff. And they have to get along with their neighbors to an extent, and they've tried to do that. And for the most part, for example, Riverside County government is pretty much supporting these. It brings more people in and brings more money to the county.
One of our viewers wrote, looking at the fact that we're going to be talking about this, is that in a sense this may be another step, according to this viewer, of exploiting the Native Americans again, because who really owns and control these, certainly control these casinos?
Well, the Indian tribes control them. However, in many cases, they bring in people to help them run it. Certainly in some cases, they brought in people from the gaming industry to train them to run it, because it's running a huge casino is not something you want to do on-the-job training with, or you'll get robbed for anything. But the tribes themselves want the casinos. Even the tribes that are opposed to the propositions on the ballot now, they're gaming tribes. They have their own casinos, and it, in many cases, is more a question of competition than of, should we eliminate gaming at all?
And the demand is that high that 17,000 machines in Southern California.
Well, gambling is an addiction.
Well, that's an argument. I mean, people from the tribes came and talked to us at the Chronicle, and they said that in some of these places on Saturdays, there's people lined up 2 or 3 deep waiting for a chance to play the machines. And, I mean, that's whether that's true or not, there's a reason that those huge casinos are in Las Vegas and Reno and every place else. Somebody's paying for them.
Well, we'll just find out if the looming recession has an impact on that business one. I doubt it, huh? Okay, thank you so much. That's a vote coming up.
February 5th.
February 5th. That's
94, 95, 96, and 97. They're virtually identical and probably will either all pass or all fail.
Okay, thank you so much, John.